prison.
Rentahitman.com.
Rentahitman.com is crazy. I'd pay 1K to see you get stung by a scorpion. Fuck no. Absolutely not.
Man.com.
Like that's listen, I need more than 1K for that. I'm not gonna lie to you. Once we get around 10K, then we could talk. But like 1K ain't enough.
Rentahitman.com. Rentahitman.com.
Nah, I'm not gonna lie. Anybody who fell for this is an absolute fucking idiot. I'm not gonna lie. Rentahitman.com. Anybody who went to this is an absolute moron. Anybody who got arrested off of this, absolute imbecile. Just dumb. This is the stupid, like, this, it's obviously not, like, come on, bro. This is one of them things, like, you know, if you click on this, you're on a watch list. I'm not gonna lie. This is one of them things. Just like if you search certain shit that makes sense in your head, then you read it out loud, you be like, oh nah, I shouldn't search that. This is one of them things. Like you know if you click on this, you're going on a watch list. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm the webmaster of rentahitman.com.
She's 18. She went on a website to hire a hitman.
This website is nothing more than a parody, but it did put a bunch of people behind bars. And the question is how? Before we get started, I just wanted to shout out Wavy Web Surf because his video to
oh wait, I thought it was an ad. Okay, all right.
Out her passport. Although she was stuck in a foreign country.
I thought it was
In 2010, Bob Inez, the owner of Rentahitman.com, stumbled upon an odd request in his email from a stranger. The person in question was a British woman named Helen, who was located in Canada, stranded without her passport. Although she was stuck in a foreign country with no way to get back home, she didn't ask for help because she had a different goal in mind. She wanted her family members back home out of the picture. Gone. Helen found the website Rentahitman.com and took the URL for what it was. Her request? She wanted to rent a hitman. In her email, she requested the services of a hitman to take out 3 of her family members in the UK and claimed that her family screwed her out of her inheritance.
Now, let's talk about this. Because once again, it's just too convenient. Like anytime I think of Hitman, I think of like dark web. You know what I'm saying? Like I like some shit. I need to have a spoofer, a VPN, all that shit on to even like think about going to a site like this. If you found this shit just like on a Google search, and you think that these motherfuckers are gonna help you take out your family, you're a fucking idiot. I'm not gonna lie. Like, this bitch is stupid.
And now she wanted revenge. But Bob, the owner of the site, didn't respond. He had no idea if this woman was actually serious about all this or if this was just another one of the prank emails he was so used to opening. But Helen wasn't giving up so soon. She asked again, and this time she sent Bob all of the personal information of those family members, including their full names and addresses. So Bob took this as a sign to take action. He sent her a reply back. Do you still require our assistance? We can place you in contact with a field operative. Helen thought that this was it. Her wishes were finally coming true. She was getting a field operative on the job, a real trained professional.
Why didn't close up on this nigga out like that?
This was not a hitman. In fact, the operative on the other end of the line was the law itself. And just days later, Helen was locked up because Rent-A-Hitman wasn't real. It's nothing more than a spoof. And Bob didn't assign a hitman to the case, but rather the police. What is Rent-A-Hitman? Established in 2005, Rent-A-Hitman was a website meant to give people easy access to contract assassins without having to use the dark web. With an easy-to-navigate website,
like, come on, bro. Like, niggas is stupid, bro. Yeah, I saw a TikTok about this. Yeah, nah, I did see that.
Customer testimonials, and even a career.
I don't know if it was on TikTok though, but I have heard about it. I might have seen that on Twitter.
Conventional business model and transformed it into a real service. But what some unsuspecting people don't know is that all the information on the website.
Then I saw the one where a girl tries to. That's probably in this video. It's a girl that tries to get her. Who was it? Was it her husband? Husband or father or some shit? Going like she was dead serious about that shit. Like she had a plan for the hitman and everything. I don't know if that was related to
or
this.
rather
though.
a parody. Rent a Hitman was not an actual Hitman service. In fact, if you take a deeper look at the site, you can probably tell that none of this was meant to be taken seriously.
There's several red flags on the website. There's a banner ad. It opens up a new browser window for the Internet Crime Complaint Center that's run by the FBI.
On the front page, the site claims
Niggas got the FBI website linked to this website. Like, how stupid do you have to be to fall for this? Like, bro, it just, I don't know, bro. It just fathoms me how dumb people are, bro. That shit is actually
to
crazy.
be compliant with HIPAA, or Hitman Information Privacy and Protection Act of 1964, which, if you look it up, is definitely not what HIPAA stands for. The real origin of the website dates back to February 5th, 2005. Bob Inez bought the domain for just $9.20. He and his friends were working on an IT training program.
And it was a play on words. Rent as in hire us, hit as in web hit, visitor traffic analytics.
The team carried out hits on the online security measures of other companies, so they decided to call themselves Hitmen, which led to the infamous Rent a Hitman. After the program was completed, Bob ended up keeping the domain in hopes of selling it in the future. But when no one wanted to buy it, Bob decided to just repurpose the site into a joke Hitman service to go with the name. He even opened up a form on the site for people to submit their inquiries, comments, and requests. For years, Bob left the site running without ever touching it again, but people kept finding it. Most visitors saw the site for what it was, and people would send prank emails to the associated email address. Others weren't as good as taking the hint and sent in real inquiries about hiring a hitman. Bob ended up receiving dozens of actual hitman requests. Some would even send in addresses, photos, and private information about the targets, desperate to find someone to get the job done. We got to a point where Bob was genuinely concerned about the well-being of some of these targets.
Bob Inez showed us his pages and pages of printed out emails.
This is just a lot of solicitations from people around the world.
He decided to take action and prevent anything bad from happening to these people. That's why he started cooperating with law enforcement to ensure that anyone sending in an actual hitman request would get dealt with accordingly. He started keeping track of people's information, even sending fake emails back to them to try and help the police get one step closer to catching them. It's said that the site has prevented over 150 possible hits from actually
It's
happening.
actually
Bob
crazy.
constantly monitors the site's associated inbox to make sure that anything that raises any red flags is immediately reported to the authorities.
How do you describe yourself?
Cyber Crusader is, and I'm the webmaster of rentahitman.com, your point-and-click solution.
And while most people by this point have realized that Rent a Hitman is nothing more than a gimmick, some people still try to use the site as a legitimate service. One of
Niggas
them
is so
being
dumb.
Xandra Ellis, the fake assassin. Before we talk about Xandra, I want to thank this video's sponsor,
Oh
War
my
Thunder.
God,
War
this
Thunder is
bad.
a
Okay.
vehicle combat MMO game with over 2,000, a ton of camouflage, historical, heavily game is link in the all platform Reliant 28. Message teen. Bob received a service request from a woman named Jasmine Brown. In her message, Jasmine requested the help of a hitman to get rid of a woman whom she named BH. In the request, she also attached BH's personal information and social media handles to help aid the mission.
That's
Although the name on the
crazy.
form was Jasmine Brown, Bob was quick to
She's trying to
realize
get
that this
shorty
name was
gone.
nothing more than a cover-up name. That's because the email address and phone number used were associated with someone with a completely different profile, someone named Xandra Ellis. In her request, Xandra, aka Jasmine Brown, claimed that BH had been trying to harm her, so she wanted to catch her blindsided by striking first, which is why she wanted to enlist the help of a professional, one that could get rid of BH once
Nah,
and for
she was
all.
really trying to
Realizing
cross
that
shorty
Xandra
out.
had
That's
every
crazy.
intent to go through with this, Bob took on a fake name himself and got into character. Pretending to be a hitman named B.I., Bob replied to her message. First, he asked the woman why she called herself Jasmine Brown, since the email that she used was connected to the name Xandra Ellis. Xandra was prepared for this question. She told Bob that the email that she was using was a fake name to protect her real identity. While Bob didn't believe this, he played along. He handed the reins over to the FBI, who assigned an agent to go undercover and catch Xandra red-handed. The FBI agent took on the role of of Ace, a fake hitman at the Rent-A-Hitman service. He then contacted Xandra via text message asking if she was still interested in the services she had requested online. Almost immediately, she replied. Xandra was definitely still interested, but the only issue with her was the price. The FBI agent posing as Ace informed her that it would be $1,000 for the job.
Huge red flag, by the way.
With a $100 upfront payment to seal the deal.
Huge
This was
red
something
flag.
she could do, and she even negotiated with the FBI agent Ace to pay the rest in $250 installments over the next few weeks. The two set a meeting time at a local Waffle House in New Orleans for Xandra to give the down payment. But while Xandra was over the moon that she was finally going to get rid of BH, the victim, what she didn't know was she would end up walking right into her own downfall. A few days later, on July 6th, 2018, Xandra arrived at the Waffle House with an unexpected guest. Xandra had brought her own kid to a meeting with a supposed hitman.
That's
She spotted
crazy.
Ace sitting in a booth at the restaurant, and she sat down next to him, ready to hand off the cash. But Ace came prepared. Without Xandra knowing, he stashed a recording device on him and picked up their entire conversation to collect it as evidence. During the conversation, the FBI agent was quickly able to find out Xandra's motivations for the job. Turns out that both BH and Xandra had kids with the same guy. This already tense relationship got even worse after the two started an intense feud on social media, which caused Xandra's hatred for the woman to get so strong that she wanted to hire a contract assassin. Xandra claimed that the other woman, BH, had been making threats against her and her unborn child, and that by doing this, she was going to keep her family safe. This led to the FBI agent asking if she had anything else to protect herself with, to which Xandra replied, "Always strapped." This, of course, was also captured in the recording. It didn't take long for the
Had a
agent to
Ruger
gather enough
308.
evidence to put Xandra behind bars. And when he had finally heard enough, he began the arrest. He cuffed Xandra to the table just moments before she was about to leave the Waffle House. But while Xandra used the site as it was originally intended, others don't just see Rent-A-Hitman as a service, but rather a possible employer.
Oh nah, that's
I want
fuck.
to be a hitman.
Niggas using a site like Indeed is crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
The job market can be tough.
Niggas putting
especially
in
for those
job
coming out of
applications for this
military
shit.
Service. But rather than adjusting to an office job or trying something new, this ex-Tennessee Air National Guardsman decided to pursue a job more suited to his talents, particularly his sharpshooting skills. In February 2023, Josiah Ernesto Garcia, like so
This
many
was last
others,
year?
went on Rent-A-Hitman
Nah.
to send in an inquiry. But rather than asking for the usual services, he did something that no one had done on the site before.
According to the criminal complaint, in early February, Garcia submitted a resume and identification documents saying he was, quote, an expert marksman and earned the nickname Reaper.
Instead of wanting to hire a hitman, he wanted
Nigga coulda
to
just been a
hired
merc.
as one instead. After leaving the military, Josiah was in desperate need of money since his family was struggling. He and his partner were about to become parents, and they needed extra cash to support the child. Josiah thought that becoming a hitman would be the perfect profession for him, seeing as he'd had plenty of marksmanship experience during his military days. In
Nah,
his
bro, just
inquiry,
coulda just
Josiah
been a
talked
mercenary,
about his
bro.
time in the Air National Guard as an airman first class, and how all that he learned could be applied to his future as a hitman. After his initial message received no reply, Josiah reached out again. This time, Bob couldn't ignore it.
I'm looking for a job that pays well related to my military experience, shooting and the marked target, so I can support my kid on the way. Adding, put me in, coach.
It was clear that
Nah,
Josiah
put me in,
had
coach, is
every
wild.
intention of wanting to be hired, so Bob knew that he had to pass this information along to the authorities. Bob, under the guidance of the FBI, pretended to be a recruiter and messaged Josiah back. The two then went back and forth in a conversation with Josiah incriminating himself more and more with every reply. Josiah laid it out to Bob, telling him that he'd been looking into this career path for a while now since it was good money, and he needed that support for himself and his family, especially the baby on the way. Josiah also allegedly told Bob that his rate for each hit job was $5,000. While all this was going on, the FBI was busy setting up a sting operation to catch Josiah in the act. They prepared a time, date, and place for Josiah and an undercover agent to meet up. The agent would pretend to be a hitman who was there to give Josiah his first ever target. The location that they ended up picking was a local park in Hendersonville, Tennessee. The FBI prepared a convincing fake target packet which contained fictitious photos, information, and $2,500 in cash as a down payment for the gig. On the day of the meetup, both Josiah and the agent arrived at the spot on time. In the agent's hand, there was a fake target packet. The evidence they needed was now right in front of them. All they had to do was wait for Josiah to take the package and confirm his intent to harm the person shown in the photos. As expected, Josiah took the packet, and allegedly he even asked if he needed to provide a photo after the fact to prove that the job was done. But before he could even get an answer to his question, the police were already on the scene, putting him under arrest. After this encounter, the police then searched his house for further evidence. There, they found a firearm that he was going to be using to complete the job. This, combined with him being caught in the act, gave police enough evidence to lock Josiah up for 10 years if convicted. But while Josiah got himself arrested for trying to support his family, this next case is the complete opposite, because this man hated his mother-in-law so much that it landed him in prison. The mother-in-law dispute. In April of 2022, Leif Everett Heyman took the issues he had with his girlfriend's mother to extreme lengths by attempting to hire a hitman on her. According to Bob Inez, the man had made multiple requests on the website, sending in his mother-in-law's private information several times to try and get the job done. In his initial request, he had written this: "I want her gone now. Too much I don't like about her. She's controlling my wife." But after this and a couple of other requests were ignored, Leif
trying to get your significant other's parent gone is just wild. I ain't gonna lie.
started
That's
to get
actually
impatient,
crazy.
and he made that very clear in his follow-up emails. On April 28th, 2022, he sent a message to Bob's inbox complaining about how
like there's got to be a point. There's got to be like a point where like you're doing shit like this, and you kind of like just sit there and ask yourself, "What the fuck is wrong with me?" Like some of them have to reach this point sometimes. Like niggas gotta wonder, like, what the fuck is
no
wrong
one's
with me
reached out to him
sometimes?
to conduct the job. You people are fake. I can't wait anymore. I'm doing it myself. After Bob read that disturbing message, Bob knew he had to do something. Leif had claimed that he would do the job himself, and if he did, there was no way for Bob to track that anymore. The life of Leif's mother-in-law was essentially in his hands, so he did what he did best. He passed the messages on to the authorities and oversaw an undercover mission to get Leif caught. All of Leif's information was sent, and in May of 2022, the sting operation against Leif Everett Heyman began.
The undercover agent posing as the hitman contacted Heyman. The agent says that Heyman kept telling him he wanted the woman, quote, gone off the earth.
Posing as a hitman from the website, an undercover agent contacted Leif to get all the details and started gathering evidence for the case. Despite reaching out multiple times for the service, Leif told
I'll be right back.
told the agent that he was on an extreme budget. He initially proposed a $200 fee to get the job done, but then dropped it down to $53, saying that he couldn't get enough money from his girlfriend. A few days later, on May 11th, 2022, the undercover agent set out to meet with Leif. Instead of picking a public place like usual, the two had decided to meet in Leif's house in New Mexico. And when the agent arrived, it made sense why. Because Leif had his own secret motives that he hadn't disclosed to his hitman. Leif had been living with a state-appointed guardian and full-time caregivers, as he had intellectual disabilities that required him to have extra help at home. And when the agent arrived, tensions were high between Leif and one of his caregivers. Although the job had been initially just about Leif's mother-in-law, it took only moments for the agent to realize that Leif had other plans in mind. He had more than one enemy and definitely more than one target. Leif made it clear that he wanted the hitman to get rid of the caregiver in question, even saying that it was part of the deal. The agent, completely blindsided, didn't know how to react. Leif and his caregiver began getting into a heated dispute. With so much of this not going to plan, the agent decided to abort the undercover mission, driving away from the scene. But still, the original goal remained. They had enough evidence to get Leif charged, so that's exactly what they did. Leif was taken into custody, and while his intellectual disabilities did raise a debate about whether or not he was fit to stand trial, he ultimately was deemed competent. He now faces a sentence of up to 10 years. While Leif used Rent-A-Hitman to get rid of his partner's mother, some people want to get rid of their actual partners. The difficult divorce. On July 17th, 2020, a Michigan woman by the name of Wendy Wayne offered Rent-A-Hitman $5,000 to complete a job on her ex-husband. The reason for her request? She caught her husband cheating on her with the babysitter. She wanted him to pay for what he did. With
Why niggas always cheating with the babysitter?
Wendy reportedly offered $5,000 to compensate for the hitman's travel expenses, as her ex lived in a different state, and she wanted to make sure that the hitman had enough money to ensure everything went smoothly. A state trooper pretending to be a hitman met with Wendy in a South Rockwood parking lot where she was meant to hand off a down payment. But instead of securing the job, Wendy was met with handcuffs, because it didn't take long for her to realize that the man in front of her was not a trained assassin, but rather an officer of the law. Although it might seem that Wendy's method to get revenge against her ex is pretty shocking, she's by no means the only person who used the site for this reason. This next case is similar, but instead of trying to eliminate the ex, Devin wanted to get rid of her and her entire family. The breakup gone wrong. In early 2018, 20-year-old Devin and his girlfriend were going through a rough breakup. With a 3-year-old daughter also in the picture, the two splitting made their situation even more difficult. And out of the two of them, Devin wasn't going to be the one to get custody. But instead of moving on or trying to get custody in court, he decided to seek out the help of a hitman through Rent-A-Hitman. He wanted to eliminate his ex-girlfriend once and for all and guarantee that he would be the one to take care of the child. But if that wasn't enough, he didn't just submit her as a target. He sent in the information of both her parents as well, in hopes of getting rid of all three of them. So on February 3rd, 2018, Devin's requests were finally heard after Bob forwarded his messages to the August County Sheriff's Office. The deputy then disguised himself as a hitman and began communicating with the 20-year-old. In their conversations, Devin revealed his motive for putting a hit on 3 people, saying that he could be a good father to the girl, but his ex and her family were getting in the way. But although Devin wanted more than ever to have this job completed, nothing came of it because he was struggling to come up with money for the service, which meant that money wasn't exchanged between Devin and the deputy leading up to the arrest. To the officer, it seemed like Devin had simply gotten cold feet and no longer wanted to go through with it. But that didn't pardon his original intentions. And on February 12th, 2018, Devin was arrested on 3 counts of solicitation to commit first degree. Although Devin wanted to rent a hitman to take care of a young child, some people try to use the service for the very opposite reason. The mom who solicited against her son.
Damn.
In 2023, Jasmine Paez did pretty much the worst thing a mother could do by requesting services for her own son. Jasmine, who was only 18 years old at the time, felt like this was the only thing that she could do to preserve her great love story, and that this was a worthy sacrifice to keep her boyfriend by her side. Jasmine, who lived in Miami-Dade County at the time, was dating an 18-year-old named Gamaliel Souza. The two had been on and off for ages, with one thing always causing the two to break up, or rather, one person, Jasmine's son. Gamaliel told Jasmine time and time again that he did not like her child, even claiming that he was getting in the way of their relationship. He disliked the kid so much that he would openly encourage her to get rid of him by any means necessary. He allegedly said, "The kid is the problem. I hope you see that. All I ever wanted was to free you." Their most recent breakup was the final straw. Gamaliel had enough and decided that unless she took care of the job, he wasn't coming back.
That bitch is a bird brain.
And I'll think about coming back, he allegedly said in messages to
Nigga didn't even
Jasmine,
guarantee niggas
desperate
how I
to
think
keep
about
him
it.
by her side, had tried to please him by lying and saying that her son was already out of the picture. But when Gamaliel asked for proof, she couldn't provide that. So unable to give him the evidence he wanted, Jasmine decided that all that was left to do was to actually get the job done for real this time. This is why she went on Rent a Hitman, hoping that she and Gamaliel could finally live happily ever after together. In her initial request, Jasmine stressed this was important and she had a time constraint. She needed the job to be done by Thursday, only giving the supposed hitman a few days to complete the hit. Bob contacted the authorities immediately because Bob was worried that if he didn't reply, she would find another way to get what she wanted. And if she did that, there was no way he could stop her. Bob immediately contacted the Miami-Dade Police Department after verifying all of Jasmine's information. He gave them her name, associated email addresses, and all the corresponding messages that she sent to the Rent a Hitman site. But instead of doing something about it, the Miami-Dade police decided not to help. They redirected
Yeah, I figured
Bob
that was
to
gonna happen,
Crime
I'm not gonna
Stoppers
lie.
instead. But Bob persisted,
Yeah,
knowing
because I was really just finna say they lucky they weren't in fucking Jacksonville, because Jacksonville wouldn't have done shit. But you know, I had a feeling Miami wasn't gonna do shit neither.
that there was a child in danger out there, and the time was running out to save him. It took several attempts for the Miami Police Department to hear him out. They even threatened to send him a cease and desist letter before they took action, but thankfully they got to it in time. Jasmine Paez was arrested for charges of first-degree solicitation and third-degree using a communications device for unlawful use. Shortly afterward, her ex-boyfriend Gamaliel Souza was also arrested due to how much he pressured Jasmine into doing this. He was charged as well. My friends, don't let temporary emotions lead to permanent consequences.
Yeah, nah, niggas is dumb. I'm not gonna lie. Like, niggas need to learn how to control. Everybody just needs to learn how to control their fucking emotions.